Jules, we're not done. We got more quick hits.
Yes.
Manchester United lose glamour, if you live in the mid-2000s, friendly to Ruben Amorim's Milan, 4-2. Michael Carrick says they need to strengthen. No doubt you agree, Jules.
Yeah, absolutely. In midfield, probably even out wide. We'll talk about Marcus Rashford later, but there's probably still a lot of things to do. I've seen them play quite well in preseason at times in some games. That game, not so much, although they took the lead twice. But I was left a little bit disappointed. So there's a lot of games to come. They will be in the Champions League. I think the club have to realize that Michael Carrick needs more players and very quickly, because as we said earlier, for City, and that also goes with United. There's only 2 weeks to go until the end of the transfer window, and they're not completed yet.
I don't think people realize, especially the last couple of seasons with the extra games, how much playing in Europe takes out of you.
Absolutely. And speaking of Milan, Gab, it looks like they need to shift a lot of players, not just Rafael Leao, but Fikayo Tomori, Yusuf Fofana, Christopher Nkunku. There's a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal thing would have been to move these guys quietly at the start of the window rather than kind of come out with almost like an announcement. But a big change. Jerry Cardinale wants to make a splash with Amorim. I think he went about everything ass backwards, but hey, that's how he rolls. I think there's some smart pickups at the right price. I think all these guys could go down to the wire. Yusuf Fofana, I think, could do a job for a lot of clubs. If we're talking short term, he's a very, very good player, and he's not just a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Back to United. One guy who is not moving on is apparently Marcus Rashford. I'm guessing it's because nobody wants his wages.
There's a bit of that. Got back from the loan at Barcelona, where he did well. Not great, but well. I think is the fair. The fair word for it, but he's on a lot of money in wages. I want to see what Carrick can do with him. I want to see. He never wanted to go back to United and play there because he was so toxic before he left that first loan move to Aston Villa. But maybe with Carrick would be different.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not holding my breath.
And meanwhile, Fenway Sports Group are selling a big chunk of Liverpool, to a group of investors you may have heard of.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost like an all-star cast.
Yeah.
It's Amit Bhatia, who previously was involved with QPR, but whose father-in-law is Lakshmi Mittal, who's one of the richest men in the world. Eduardo Saverin, who is the co-founder of Facebook with your pal Zuck back in the day. He later gave up his U.S. citizenship, I think, for tax reasons and stuff. He is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the third guy is even richer. It's Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. They took about a third of the club. It values the club at $5.5 billion. I think that is a huge valuation. Well done, Fenway, for getting that much money.
I agree.
They're going to be silent partners, and I think our listeners are sophisticated enough to know that just because the guy who owns you has a lot of money doesn't mean that you're going to sign Lamine Yamal tomorrow. But it's good for Fenway. The owners get some of the money out. It renews their commitment, but also brings in, I think, fresh ideas. Amit Bhatia was very involved with QPR, and I think in a very positive way. He's a really bright guy. I'm biased here because I know the guy. So I think they're in a really solid spot. A long-running saga ended this summer when Vinicius Jr. extended his deal with Real Madrid. We touched upon this earlier. And with Jan Diomande joining from Leipzig to man the other flank, Jose Mourinho won't be able to complain about not having flying wingers, Jules.
That's true. Now let's see how Vini and Mbappe and Bellingham and Diomande can play together, and who is behind them and who is going to do the defending.
Tchouaméni and Valverde.
Yeah, probably. But on paper, it's great. I think Real Madrid did really well in the transfer window this summer. For Mourinho, the money they spent, the players they bought, I think they should have gone for Rodri, we mentioned earlier.
They tried.
But they tried. Well, did they really try? But so we see. The balance will be key, obviously. And we're delighted to say, obviously, if you're listening to us from France, that you'll be able to see La Liga and Real Madrid and Mourinho every single game on Disney Plus in France in French. So we've got that to look forward to as well. And we talked about Rodri from the City perspective earlier, and I just touched upon it as well. But is this a good deal for Barca, do you think, Gab?
No.
Too expensive?
He's 30 years old. He's hardly played the last 2 seasons. Spending that amount of money in a position where you already have Frankie de Jong, you have Casado who may go and whatever, but if he's going to go at a price. Now you're going to get less for him if you do shift him. You have Bernat, presumably. You have Pedri there. He's been playing deeper. If you're going to keep playing that 4-2-3-1 variation, if Eric Garcia, in theory, he's done it. So I don't see the logic to it. I think Rodri's is a very good player. I don't think he's a game changer in that role for Barcelona the way they play. If part of your issue is the high line and people chasing back towards the goal, he's not going to help you with that.
Yeah.
So no, this makes no sense to me. Jorge Valdano had a good line about it. He said, yeah, well, it came out to around 70 million because it's 30 million for Rodri and 40 million to stop him going to Real Madrid.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Too much money for me.
Xavi is the new Holland manager, Jules. I was not expecting this.
No, me neither. And to be fair, I don't think it was first choice. I think they obviously went to Arne Slot and Peter Bosch and people like that.
Well, and more bald Dutch guys.
Yeah.
At least Xavi has hair, right?
He's got hair, beautiful hair, even. But even if you're not first choice, it doesn't matter so much. I like this a lot. I think Xavi will do well with the Netherlands. Finally, the right guy for the job after the guys that we had before. It's the Cruyff air, if you want, and mentality. And I think this is going to be very exciting.
Are you going to call him the Dutch guy?
No, I love Xavi. No. I love this choice.
He'll never be the Dutch guy.
He can't do worse than what I was there before, I think. So, Let's talk keepers, Gabby. Suzuki joins Aston Villa from Parma for around 30 million euros after he almost went to PSG. And we thought that meant that Dibu Martinez was going to Juventus. But now it's not so clear.
No, the latest today is that Juventus have said, Emi Martinez is a little too expensive. Let's get on the phone with Spurs again. Talk about Vicario. Yeah. Villa are in a bind. They're in a bind now. Emi Martinez, okay, whatever you think of him, most people would say he's a top 10, if not top 5 keeper in the world, right? Yeah. And now he's in a situation where he's a year away from free agency. I mean, Juventus were hoping to get him for 6 million. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of clubs, a lot of big clubs who have worse goalkeepers than Emi Martinez.
Yeah, definitely.
If they say it's just too expensive, the reason is there's agents and fees involved. We'll see. This is definitely one to monitor between now and the end of the window. I'm going to go back. I know Sané Lamens, they liked him, although then he cost Belgium their place at the World Cup with his mistake. Are you sure if you're Carrick, you wouldn't think about it? I would. I
wouldn't.
All right. Okay. That's fine. Sure. That's fine. Yeah. Enjoy your Sané Lamens.
I think so, yeah. He was certainly better than Martinez last season.
And he degenerates back into Onana. Anyway. Also happening while we were away, Eddie Howe out at Newcastle and Matthias Jaissle coming in. Jules, I'm a fan of Jaissle.
Yeah, it's exciting, although obviously he's been in Saudi for a few years now and let's see what he does coming back to Europe after being very promising earlier. But I think this is a good appointment. And for Eddie Howe, I think he's just had enough of the club selling all the best assets all the time. I think it was a very difficult environment to work in and work around. So I can completely understand his decision. Getting
ready for the England job?
Yeah, potentially as well. But that won't come he will have to wait at least 2 years. So I don't know if that's...
I don't know, man.
Maybe not. You're right. But
I was surprised Tuchel hasn't been given a harder time. Let's see how things go.
Me too. Cuti Romero has joined Atletico Madrid from Tottenham in a deal worth around 40 million euros. Gab, a match made in heaven?
Well, obviously that's a stereotype because, he's going to be with Diego Simeone and the Garra, and maybe Diego Godin will make a guest appearance in training to scare people. I don't see the logic in this. I mean, they already had center backs
Loads
in
of them,
Pubil and Lenormand and Hanchko. The rumor is that, he might play a back 3 and sure. But
they've signed Grimaldo as well for the left hand
side.
Yeah,
so obviously with Grimaldo and Llorente, then you've got your instant wing backs.
And Simeone played there the other day as well.
Yeah, and then what do you do with your wingers? I mean, turn them into wing backs? Lionel Messi said he's the best center back in the world. I invite people to go and watch Tottenham over the last 2 years. The amount of goals they conceded when he was there, and when he wasn't there was often his fault because he wasn't rehabbing properly or because he was suspended. So, I don't like this one at all. Mohamed Salah has a new home. Jules, are you surprised at Trabzonspor on a free transfer after everyone was pushing him to Saudi Arabia?
Surprised? No, we thought Turkey was always a bit of an option as well. Halfway through. you stay in Europe, they're still in European competitions. So it's not Saudi or it's not MLS just yet. I think that will come a bit later. Hugo, he was welcomed like a god of football, like an absolute hero. There will be great atmosphere. It's a team that did well last season, so he should improve them. So I'm curious, and I think the Turkish clubs, especially the top clubs, not just the Istanbul clubs, but Trabzonspor as well, are building something really interesting that's going to make that league interesting to watch for us too. So,
They were third last season, so I guess we're going to see him in the Europa League. I just love the idea. Like, oh, look, he's Muslim. Surely he's going to want to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, he has enough money. He can fly to Saudi Arabia whenever he wants. And in fact, there's plenty of flights between on Turkish Airlines between Istanbul and, well, maybe not so much from Trabzon, but still.
Liverpool have picked up Ronald Araújo on loan from Barcelona. You like this move?
For who? For Barcelona? Okay. I in the principle, I'm the guy who's been saying all along, big clubs. This goes back to the Manchester United days when Ralph Rangnick wanted to sign somebody on loan for 6 months and then to fight to get Marcel Sabitzer in. Oh no, we don't do that. No, it's a smart thing if you need a body, right? If you think, look, Jacquet is not, Jacquet is very young, Leone's very young, Virgil will be coming back after the World Cup, he's gonna be more tired, blah, blah, blah. Let's just get a body in. You don't even think about doing this on a permanent basis because he has a contract through 2031 and he's 27 years old, which I think is just crazy.
Yeah.
From Barcelona's perspective, no, makes no sense to. It makes sense to get him away because obviously he doesn't fit the way you play. You're still totally short-handed at the back and you're short-handed up front, right? Well, who's Anthony Gordon going to be your center forward this season?
I mean, they're looking for a center forward.
Yeah, well,
obviously, but they haven't found it yet.
Pavlidis,
I think they would sign him. They would sign one between now and the end.
Well, they have to.
Yeah.
They have to. They've got nobody. And at the back, it is another body that leaves. But from Liverpool's perspective, maybe you can relaunch his career a little bit with Araujo. Maybe you can plug some gaps in the League Cup, but he's obviously not the future.
No, I agree.
Nor the present. Jules, none other than Sir Alex Ferguson, appearing in a Netflix documentary, told us what many suspected, what would have been reported even, but not confirmed.
We've said it many times.
But we weren't sure. But the way it's different when Sir Alex says it. He says that basically after everything went south at Real Madrid for Mourinho, that Manchester United offered him the job, that Mourinho agreed to take it, and then after a few hours rang up Sir Alex crying and said, no, I'm going to go back to Chelsea.
Yeah, did he get scared of the challenge of following somebody like Sir Alex? Because after 27 years of winning everything, it's hard for anyone. Like it's hard to follow Wenger, like it's hard to follow Guardiola. But even probably more for Wenger and Fergie because of the time they spent at those clubs. Or was it the pull of going back to Chelsea that was so...
Mourinho does not get scared. Mourinho would be very angry if he heard you say that.
Well, he might be. I think there was part of that. And I think a lot of managers would have looked at that job after Fergie and seen like, this is
He's
tricky.
in love with Chelsea. That's why he went back.
And that's maybe that as well. But then he agreed first and then changed his mind. I don't know. I find it... But I would have loved to see Mourinho at United at that time because it was a very different story than when he joined, 5 years later or so.
And they certainly spent a lot of money too, so he would have had the backing.
Yeah.
I actually think Mourinho at Manchester United back then could have worked much better than Mourinho later.
I agree. Jaissle, Spence and John Stones both join Inter Milan. Gab, do you like this Premier League shopping spree from the reigning Serie A champions?
I think John Stones was a free transfer. Jaissle Spence, it's amazing. The deal was around 30 million in the end. People are wondering, this guy's young enough. He's a freak athlete. He has Tuchel's trust in World Cup games.
Yeah.
Why is he available for so little money? Why? I mean, Arsenal are messing around with Ezri Konsa. We're talking 40, 50 million. Konsa's like 5 years older than Spence, or maybe not 5, but certainly. Why? There's a reason. There's a reason people aren't turning towards Jaissle Spence. I'm just going to leave it at that. He was at Genoa on loan in Serie A. I think he's a good fit if you want a fast guy running up and down the flank. and Inter have a very good record with aging central defenders over the years. So Stones will bring some quality there. Yeah, Inter are so far ahead right now. We'll see what happens in the last couple of weeks of the transfer window. But to be honest, I mean, it feels like the title's already in the bag. It feels like the title's Inter's to lose, put it that way.
Chelsea's case over transfer irregularities in the Abramovich era is now finally over, Gab.
That's right. If you remember, they had 3 separate cases, and these are allegations that Chelsea paid essentially kickbacks, that they engaged in false accounting. The Abramovich era, Chelsea's new owners, Todd Bowley and Badare Bali, self-reported this and said, "Oh, look what we found when we looked in the books, all this dodgy stuff. But look, we're telling you that this happened." So it's a question of how do you punish them. In the end, when they summed this up, they got a 10 million euro fine from UEFA because they were investigated by all 3 bodies.
Yeah.
They got a 10 million pound fine from the Premier League. The FA also fined them 10 million because it's a nice round number, Jules. Why not? This is the scientific way we do things. They got a suspended transfer ban. They got a transfer ban for 2 windows, but the ban is suspended. So yes, as long as you don't start paying bribes to people again, it's not really going to impact them. 30 million is a lot of money, but I'll tell you what, when they were smart, I've been critical of Bowley and Bali, but they accounted for this. They held back 100 million, if you remember, when they bought the club, precisely because they'd been warned about questions about what happened in the Abramovich era.
Yeah.
Does it seem fair to you that there's no points penalty, no points deduction? Is a fine the only thing they could have done?
I think just about.
All right. Sticking with Chelsea, Pedro Neto could be on his way to join Al Hilal for 60 million euros. Uncle George helping balance those books, Jules.
Beautiful Uncle George, making a lot of money for everyone, including himself, of course. From a Pedro Neto point of view, unless you've been told by Xabi Alonso that either the system doesn't work for you or you don't really fit or it doesn't count on you, this makes no sense whatsoever. I know he's going to make more money financially, sure, but I don't think Pedro Neto right now needs money. So I would be a bit disappointed, to be fair, and I would want to see what Chelsea do then if they replace Pedro Neto, who we don't say Pedro Neto is one of the best wingers in the world, but certainly last season he was a good player for Chelsea.
And he covers both flanks.
Exactly.
I guess the thinking is Ken Esteval on one side and Gittins and Morgan Rogers on the other. I'm assuming that's the thinking. No, don't.
And that's if there's wingers in the system. So that's why I'm thinking there might be a back 3 and other stuff going on more to what we saw at Bayer Leverkusen from Xabi Alonso. But yeah, it'd be interesting. And maybe Chelsea can't say no to that kind of money either for a player like Pedro Neto.
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. I mean, you look at the list of people, Jaissle, hopefully they can move him on loan and stuff. So many people they need to move on.